Hey guys. There's Matt. It's like, where's Waldo?
Usually.
Hey guys, welcome to week 2 of Short Fuse and BS.
Yes. And
So we're going to do the same thing we did last week. Just going to talk about some stuff and, hang out just so you guys get to know us a little better. And maybe we'll even talk a little bit about what the hell we're going to be building.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, let's start here. I kind of want to know what are you playing these days?
What am I playing these days? What am I playing these days? I'm only playing Assassin's Creed Shadows at the moment.
Yeah.
Hardcore into it. It's the best Assassin's Creed since Black Flag, and stealth is actually hard again, and the two characters play so different. So it's like when I'm like want to be stealthy, I play the female character, and she's very much like she's a thief, right? And then you play Yahweh or whatever his name is, Yusuke, and he's just like a tank, right? You can't fight inside with him; he's so big. Like
Awesome.
It ends up feeling like you're fighting inside of a box if you fight inside of a building with him. It's like it's kind of awesome. But it's such two different ways of gameplay. Like the samurai doesn't climb on roofs. He can, but he's like totally awkward, and they made it that way. You can't walk on tight ropes. You go to walk on a tight rope with him, it just breaks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you got to pick shoes, and it's good stuff. But also playing a little bit of Minecraft Dungeons for reasons.
Yeah, I mean that's it still confuses me why they turned the servers off for that one, even though it was making buckets of money. It's still a great game, even though single player. Yeah, someone in the chat said nice merch. This is a new one. I'm not sure about it. It's a blank. We'll see. We'll see if this becomes the one, but I've got a couple others that I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's sort of in the wrong place.
It is. It needs to be lower.
Yeah.
But that was a manufacturing problem. But yeah, Minecraft Dungeons. It's so confusing. It just really is. They had what, I think 500,000 players the day that they turned it off.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
Some person said,
and you have a movie coming up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm bad. I'm not playing. I just got back, so I haven't been playing anything for a minute. I do want to buy Assassin's Creed. The last game, which I've mentioned this before, that I replayed for like the 4th time was Cult of the Lamb. I love that game. And I also played Ollie Ollie because I've never played that before, the newest one. And that one was super cute. It was a lot of fun. It's hard. It's a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. I definitely threw my controller in rage a couple times, but it was fun. It was a good one.
Yeah, I fell down a Stardew hole again. So I'm in year 3 of a new playthrough that I have. I spent so much time in that game. I really need to stop.
Did you play Let's Starve at all?
Don't Starve?
Don't Starve, yeah.
Yes. I played that and Don't Starve together. Their art style was so good and unique.
Yeah.
It just the characters were so cool. Just a great concept.
Yep.
And proving that you don't need incredible AAA graphics to make a great game.
Yeah. And honestly, most of the games that I end up loving and playing are not those like hyper real, like even the games that I've worked on. Like I don't play those games.
Right.
Not like they're gorgeous and I love them, but it's kind of like going to the theater in a way. Like you really have to commit to it, and you have to like be in the zone, and then you appreciate it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, I just want to Netflix and chill, you know, you don't watch. I don't know, like Inception. I don't know, like you know what I mean. Like you don't watch that on repeat, but I'll watch The Good Place over and over again because it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
That
like,
that was a funny series.
Yeah, I'm fine with a good AAA every once in a while, but I hear you, man. It's like I spend more time in older games that are just like a comfortable shoe,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
double A indie. There is an art line for me that I can't accept, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, come on, man. I've got a 4070 in this machine. I need a little bit.
Yeah. Give me something.
But like Balatro, right? I play the hell out of that game on the daily. Like I play a hand or two, every day. And I have it on the PC and I have it on the phone and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That game's great for just pickup ability. Like you can just like sitting down, you have 5 minutes, you can just play a hand, get done.
And then it beats your ass. And I
Yes,
mean,
well,
it's stunning
there's
on how
that.
often that game's just like, nope, you're not winning this round. Sorry.
What's interesting about indie games, especially the ones that are really pushing that, how simple can we make,
Mm.
you know, from the animation standpoint, it's fascinating to even play old games like N64 or or PlayStation 1 type games, and how the movement reads and how clear it is without all the pretty looking stuff that we know today. And I think sometimes companies are relying a little bit on that, like
And they have for
it's
20 years, right?
yeah.
Like for the longest time, basically as soon as we all put a voodoo card in our machine back in 96, it's been a race on the graphic side, right? And that's always just been a thing. And even back in the early 2000s, here I'm going to story time a little bit here. Even back in the early 2000s, we were talking about like, how come how come we don't have an AI card for
Yeah.
enemy, movement,
Right.
not AI, right? But like, how come we don't have a card that makes those things better
Yeah,
or
just a
physics
processor.
better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, eventually NVIDIA put, a physics subchannel on their GPU.
Mhm.
And you can now use the GPU to do anything you really want to.
Yep.
But but yeah, I mean, even back then it was like the one thing you would hear back from EA or whatever you were working for was like, dial the graphics up on level 3, right?
Yeah.
They didn't care that you were like making the most mind-blowingly new, gameplay. They could care.
Mhm.
And the one thing that's great about the indie space, and has always been great about the indie space, is that you can just very clearly be like, I'm exploring this thing, and I'm going to do it to the nines, and the art is secondary. Sorry, artist person, but
No, it's I
you know,
mean it's true. Like, and then that's what's kind of fun as the animator on a team that you know is kind of exploring new space. And like, how do you I don't know, how do you make things look good and keep things in the parameters, and how do you make things read or what have you, or really push that? Like, how can you make something interesting, like a walk cycle? How do you make a walk cycle interesting? We've all seen thousands, millions of them,
Mhm.
so that's what's fun. I don't mind. Yeah, it gets a little boring after a while, like having a super
well,
realistic model and realistic mocap, and like it's just
yeah.
you know
I mean, one of the things is that we've landed where we've landed because one of the things that we learned at the last place is that doing voxel style stuff, it keeps the art lower res, but
mhm,
high enough that it gives you the ability, and the artist the ability
yeah,
to be weird. We
mhm,
don't have to be realistic. We don't have to
yeah,
worry about the uncanny valley,
yeah,
right? Like nobody's ever gonna look at one of our characters and goes like, "Ooh, he looks scary and his eyes look dull and you know, like Mass Effect Andromeda or something, right? Like,
Yeah,
well,
no
you
Twilight.
never have to worry about that because it's all in the motion, it's all in the expression, it's cartoon, right?
Are there lessons to learn outside of art and animation? Are there lessons that we could learn looking back at the 16-bit or the 32-bit era, like you mentioned in 64? Are there lessons that are lost where we could bring some of those to life in an indie space?
I think indies, whether they they get it from looking back or just out of necessity, I think that they do a good job of, you got to keep your code tight. You can't overscope. You the first thing you write down is there's going to be, 20 enemies and 10 this and blah blah blah. It's probably half, right? But take care on every one of those that you make, because that does matter, right? Like, if you go back and you look at, the mid 90s, like side scrollers, right? There's probably 10 enemies through the whole game, but they all do very unique, challenging things for the player, right?
Yeah.
And so you just have to you de-scope in the way of width, narrow in as best as you can, and and just try to keep it as challenging as you can.
Yeah. I would second that. Like, picking, like, committing to something as well. Like with the lower parameters, you have to make a statement, and I think that's what a lot of the retro games had. That, even if it was, this game's gonna be like, I don't know why I'm thinking of the Lion King. On like, there's no save points. You start the game over again, and like that's brutal. That's I played
Wicked
that
Arcade, though, right?
Yeah,
That's Coin Muncher.
That's old
stuff
Coin
like
Muncher
that
stuff, yeah.
is
And so now that's novel, right?
yeah.
And yeah,
it was the first. Not, I don't want to say first, because I'm gonna get yelled at by people who know gaming history better, but to me it was like the first roguelite that I ever played without knowing what it was. But yeah,
the loop being the whole game. Yeah,
like that's, otherwise it's, I mean, we knew the characters, we knew the story. I mean, all those games that Disney put out at that time, it was just the movie, in level form. But yeah, I don't know. I think there was a level of experimentation that I would like to see again, but also committing to the artists, not experimentation of how do we get rid of the artists, how do we use them, how do we let them just make something that might not make money. I think that was also a thing that's kind of been lost, is making a bit of money or recouping costs. That's a win. It doesn't need to be this endless story. Yeah.
Well, there's a, and they don't do this anymore, but the original Pixar model was, we need to make enough money to make our next movie, right?
Yeah.
That was their goal. So it was always about sinking the cost back into their projects. Obviously that's not true anymore. Those days are gone. They're Disney-fied. They're doing sequels and all that, right?
I have opinions, but I might want a job there someday. So
yeah.
But for better or for worse, the people like Lasseter and the ones that started that place, are, as creeps as they might have been, they're all those visionaries are, not with them anymore. Brad Bird, blah blah blah. But what a concept though for a game company. We want to make enough money to make the next one game. Right.
And like, because I think this is true for a lot of people in the industry, but all of us on the team, we love what we do. Like, this isn't like I'm not working to make enough money to stop working. Like, I want to keep doing this for ever. Like that.
I've said to my wife more than once that I'll probably never retire. Right?
Yeah.
Why would I need to retire?
Why? Yeah. Why would you? Like,
I think
what I'm going to do if I
talking about
retire?
him too.
I'm going to continue to make games, right?
Well, you'll probably move to board games, I assume.
Right,
Like, once you
exactly.
retire, you'll start
Right.
miniatures and
Yeah.
board games.
Right. That'll be me and the old folks home. I was like, let's put a endless runner together.
Just gonna make that whatever the cones of Dunshire. Just
Yeah,
this.
Mhm. Exactly.
Man.
But that is really is my mission. Like when Chris and I started to put this together, all I ever wanted was to make another game. Like,
Mhm.
so if game 1 allows us to make game 2, I am so happy.
Yeah.
That's all it should be about. And I think the team that we have is so on board with that.
Mhm.
That's like, we will just make enough to keep going, and maybe eventually we all get paid out and live on an island. I don't know, but
I'll
I
just
just
do it
want to do it all over again. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when we start the publishing company.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Man. I watched Away this weekend when I was out,
Mhm.
which was Ginty's first film. I still haven't seen Flow, but I watched Away and it was amazing. And I bring it up like we'll make a few games and then we'll sell the company and then like let's just go make film. Like we'll shoot it all in Unreal, like we can. That's what's really cool about all the technology that's available right now is that like
right.
there's a lot of versatility there.
Yeah, totally. Chris is sitting there playing with the formatting.
I screwed up and deleted the wrong thing. My
You're
bad.
gonna
There we go.
give everyone a seizure.
That was my
I
plan.
mean, that really, like, that does sort of cap what we're trying to do here. Make games and that's it. Like, I'm not interested in this one game being our whole like history.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to continue a game forever. I want it to be sort of on to the next one eventually.
Yeah.
So, as I have written above my head now, is there a title that you guys are like looking forward to?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Well, title. Oh, a game that's been made.
Game title, yeah.
Oh, rematch. So I, for a while, was a very competitive Rocket League player. Got decently high up. And rematch. Now that I've played the alpha, that is the game I want to play. It's the next generation of it. It's actual soccer on an actual pitch. It's 4v4. Awesome.
Well, let's take a look at it because I'm not really familiar with it.
I
The
am so hyped
magic.
for this game. Like, and it plays so good.
So it's soccer.
It's soccer, yeah. And it's 4v4, 5v5. It's so freaking good.
Where's the cars?
Yeah, that's one of the best things about it is it's actual soccer. Like, you can kick and you can pass and you don't have to learn a crazy amount of maneuvers just to do basic things.
Huh.
Like, this game is going to take up my summer.
Interesting.
But I still have competitive feels. I need to win video games.
Cool. Hi, Stu. We don't want to listen to you, Stu. Yeah, mine is I'm gonna forget the name of it now because I'm on the spot. Deliver at all costs.
Yes.
So
play this trailer because it is this game. So one of my best friends, Trevor. This is absolutely a Trevor game. This is an indie that is going to get ridiculous, and the more people you have playing it, the better.
Yeah, this is exactly up my humor alley. And I love anything with physics, over the top physics, like
Oh,
that. Like I live for this.
I also just love. We need to bring back top-down games.
Yeah.
hmm
It's such a good vibe. Like they just don't do them anymore. Everything needs to be first person over the shoulder.
Yeah.
And
I
to
mean,
me,
I
this
love
shows
that,
you.
like even in that little thing, right? Like, look at this truck. Like, look at the watermelons.
Yeah,
That's so good.
I haven't even heard of that one. That one looks fun.
Yeah, this trailer came out last week or 2 weeks ago,
yeah.
and I as soon as I saw it, I just started laughing. I was like, "Oh, this is exactly what I love to do in games. Is just make a mess." Right?
And I think that's
I have a
like
very big absurd streak. If you guys haven't noticed,
games are great because like they can be absolutely silly and irrelevant or like not have a point, and then they can also be these cinematic, emotional tearjerkers, that tell a very specific story
right?
and anything in between. That's what's I love it. There's one game that looks interesting. I think it's called Cuff Bust. It's by Gavin Isengaz, or he did Choo Choo Charles as the solo developer. It's a second game solo deving, and it just looks hilarious to me. It's gonna be a multiplayer one though, which will be interesting.
Let's
Oh, that just
see.
means the team has to play it, right?
Hell yeah!
We need to. So this is something I wanted to bring up here. At some point, we have to have game nights with the community, with everybody. Like
Yeah.
at some point, we need to put this together. It was something I wanted to do with the last place and didn't get a chance to. But game nights where one of us or a community member brings and it's even better if they're free to play games, right?
Mhm.
You bring a game and we all play it.
Yeah.
So find your multiplayer free to play games, and let's pick a weeknight that we can just go nuts as a group.
Well, always a fan of Little Left 4 Dead 2. Not free, but it's like $1.99.
But
And what's the one we used to play all the time?
That the Free Fall
Fall
Guys?
Guy.
we used to play a ton of Fall Guys, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that one because it's just so silly.
Yeah.
I have to find the name, but there's a new like Mario Party riff, like from an indie developer that's coming out. That's the same kind of concept, like the cooking one or whatever. You come and you do these mini games, and
Right.
that's always a lot of fun.
So I have an idea for game 2 on that one.
Okay, add it to the list.
Oh, it's in there already.
No, we're the one we talked about in chat the other day is game 2.
Yes.
I can't get it out of my head.
Silly. Protect your house at all costs.
From your family.
Yeah, from trauma.
Basically, Christmas Vacation turned into video game.
Oh, that sounds like a mountain of stress.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
we'll all just trauma bond over it. It'll be cathartic.
Trauma Bonds. That's the name. Trauma Bond.
Trauma
Yeah, Fire Aunts, as Ego just said. Yeah, that's
Yes.
what we were calling it in the chat.
I mean,
Fire
I'm
Aunts.
down. I mean, there's I can't play that cooking that chef, whatever, the one in the kitchen, like that top one.
Played Up or
Yeah, any any of those. Like it's like watching season 1 of The Bear for me. Like I used to work at
wasn't that
the
such a
Cheesecake.
great? Oh,
Like Cooking Mama is too stressful for you?
Well, it just reminds me of like when I worked in restaurants, and it is not fun. It's very stressful to be behind the bar or whatever. And like, I feel myself just getting a little panic attack. I can't do it.
that was so great though.
So the premise that Matt was pushing was like, you have to protect your home from your visiting family from ruining it.
Hell yeah.
Right.
So
So,
like they go through, and then you have to go like it's a cleaning game and an organizational game, but also maybe like play music to distract them.
right,
Oh,
yeah,
like,
and then you
yeah.
get the slap commands, to keep them from touching things, and then grandma comes over with Alzheimer's and
And if
uses the lawnmower as a vacuum cleaner, and and
can we make it like a little bit of a sim light where you
Oh,
can
yeah.
strategically
yeah.
decide to have children to distract your family and just chuck the baby at them and like go in the other room with the baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was funny because we've all had our I think anybody who's like over the age of 2 has had their moment with their family at some point, and we all have our crazy relatives, and but
Or
like
you are the
boss
crazy
levels,
relative.
boss levels would be like Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Survive Thanksgiving dinner.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah. And probably be the most popular game in psychiatry offices ever.
Oh, you can also like maybe we partner with one and then have them like diagnose like what trauma do you have, and like that's what the AI like we'll work it. We're gonna do exposure therapy in this game. Oh, codependent, great. Here are your very codependent parents. Oh, you're hyper independent, awesome. Your house is gonna be burning, and you need to call your family over.
But you refuse to.
This is perfect. This is great. This is better than therapy.
See, it writes itself, man. It really does.
It does.
Oh. Anyway, game 2.
Game 2.
I like
As
it.
we say
Yeah.
around here. You want to talk about game 1?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
You want to walk through it, Chris?
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but here's the plan. So, when we started talking about doing all this stuff in December, we've gone through a couple of different game ideas. One thing that we always knew we were going to do was, because it was so successful for us at the last place, was we're doing voxel characters, and like we weren't going to let that go because, as we discussed, it's it's a lot easier on the art team to pull off and to add personality, and it's quicker for us to turn stuff around, and yada yada yada. So we were like, we're so sticking with that art style. We've kind of all fell in love with it. If you told me that I was going to like it 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you. But I have grown to really like it and appreciate what it does for development. So we always knew we were going to do that. But, when we were looking at December and January, we were still a little bit programmed to think the way the last company thought. So we were looking at doing something that just like made a boatload of money and used all the tropes to do such things, on a mobile app. Not something, I'll be honest, that a lot of us wanted to build. But we, it's like you're still stuck in that state. We sort of realized, we have our own company. We can do what the hell we want. And so Matt and I went around the drain for a bit on like a Final Fantasy old school JRPG style. And I think that someday we'll still come around to that, because at least for me, it felt really strong, and it feels like it would have been a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it's got a good hook.
And it's got a good hook, and there's like some interesting design challenges, and our art style will fit perfectly, and yada yada. But then talking to you guys and talking to, you know, some other people in the community and talking with people on the team. I don't remember who said it, but somebody was just like, we should just do an ARPG. And that's sort of what we were hearing from the community.
I honestly think it was Dr. Wookie who
I
said
think
that.
it was Dr. Wookie.
Hmm.
Obligatory Dr. Wookie. There he is. And well, Dr. Wiki definitely made us start thinking about it. But I remember when we brought it up with the rest of the team, everybody was like, "Yes, please." And so again, you know, we're our own company. Let's do something that we like to do. There's a direct, successful ARPG with semi art style out there. And it's within the capabilities of the team, and it's one of my favorite genres, so I'm kind of excited about it. We've got the bare bones of a story I'm not going to share yet, but the baseline is that something bad has happened. Something bad has happened, and it's up to our players to fix it, and that something bad is put it into a place where, you know, as you've seen with, you know, our characters, it can be a whatever, a sentient frog or a cowboy or whatever, all fits in together. And we'll be building the systems in a way that the character that you're using visually isn't doesn't determine its class, right? So you can have a spell casting, you know, cowboy or a minigun wielding frog, which you guys have already seen. But you know, it does, the way we're going to build the systems behind the scenes, you know, character advancement and stuff like that will be about, not about the model. It'll be about whatever you want to be building. You know, the decisions that you make in character creation will determine like what you start with, and then you can go anywhere. You know, think of like the Path of Exile tree, or the old Final Fantasy materia advancement. And besides, I always loved those systems. They're always like, where do I put my next coin? You know, it's all visual and pretty. I mean, even Diablo 4 is kind of has when you get to the upper level of Diablo 4, that's how their system is now too. But a little bit more structured and safe. But like, I can't turn my sorcerer in that game into a barbarian, right? But that's it on a nutshell. We're kind of art style, the things that we've been kind of playing around with. And if you've seen our videos over the past few weeks, you can sort of start seeing a shift. Is that, yes, we started with a dungeon. But, you know, the one thing that was attractive to us, even back in Vexy, was like this early video game cassette punk vibe, right? Like, you know, we really love our retro games, and like we kind of want to embrace that as much as possible. So it's like, let's go with the, you know, like what people think the 80s were like with Neon, and it wasn't, guys, it wasn't. But, you know, everybody thinks it was like, you know, Neon and like, you know, and like what we all thought the future was going to be, you know, in 1985, right? So Tron, The Last Starfighter, you know, cyberpunk stuff, you know,
Back to the Future Part 2.
Back to the Future Part 2, and you know, those are sort of like the things that we're, you know, looking at. But again, because of the backstory is that the world's damaged, we're leaving the door open that, you know, we could just do a regular dungeon, we could just do, you know, Japan 1500s, or, you know, whatever we decided to do for a theme, we can totally pull that off.
Oh, don't promise me Nobunaga's Ambition, man. I would do an old school 1993 Koei game in a heartbeat. Give me. Those games are coming to Switch, and you might not see me for a couple days.
Just like, bye, guys.
But no, like I think I'm gonna highlight some things here. So we're talking real-time combat. We're talking party-based multiplayer. So that's think of Path of Exile, how there's hub kind of central cities where you see other people, and then once you get outside of those cities, you don't see anyone but your party. The hub and spoke model. I don't know how far we're gonna take combat. We're still kind of playing with it. If we have like Dark Souls style dodge mechanics, if we have, it's more simple like Path of Exile or Diablo 2 or one of those. Still discussing that, but definitely real time and definitely party based multiplayer and story driven. It has to be story driven. I really believe that games, even at their most silly, should tell a story. That's all I had.
I know you mentioned story. I'm like, yeah, I have like 2 notebooks around here that I've been playing with a couple of different storylines for this.
Yeah,
I'm not happy
important.
with either of them, but hey, it's early, so
it's early.
Yeah.
It just, I don't like I have a hard time with games that don't have meaning. I just really do. Like, I think you take the story from any game and it loses something. I don't know if I would like Stardew Valley as much as I do if you took out the corporation versus the city mechanics. It feels less if you don't build a story around it.
Right. Yeah, if you were just there picking turnips, it wouldn't be all that. Yeah,
I'd lose my mind. I probably already have lost my mind, but yeah, give me a reason to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
So on those things, it's more to come as we move along here, and we'll have announcements soon about when
We'll have a trailer soon.
We'll have a trailer soon, and we'll have an announcement for, our first NFT drop, like real soon, like
soon
enough that we're starting to sweat. So. All right, guys. Anything else we want to talk about today?
I don't know. Feels like a slow day. I don't mean that in a bad way. I think we're all just like, ugh.
I'm a little bit burned. I got off a plane yesterday, and I'm just dealing with all the things I dealt with. I'm a little gassed, so my energy's down for sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm chugging my coffee, so
yeah.
We do have some questions that were taken earlier. I will ask them, and you guys will answer them.
Okay.
Start with how is development coming along?
Which part?
Wow.
Let's go with development, as in that can be art, animation, actual engineering, game design, etc.
Sure. I guess I would say that our focus has been pre-production, which has been on Matt and I.
Yeah, you can go into a little ddetail about that, because they probably don't. Our fans might not know what pre-prod is.
Right. I mean, so some of that is for when I look at like a project we start with our idea, right? And like we've said that we've changed the idea a couple of times here. But then like the next step that always goes on in my head is do we have the right people for that? And even if we don't, like, how do we de-scope this to a place that's attainable, right? The biggest thing that destroys games is overscoping. We all want to make WoW, right? We all want to make a game that big, but the reality is that small teams can't do that. So what is the reasonable chunk of work that we can do and create something that's fun and that people will love? So like as I'm going through, like, we're talking about some story and plot and like what kind of features there are and how's combat going to be and all that kind of stuff. I'm always thinking like, who's on the team? Is like, is this something that Jeff is competent at? Is this something that Elliot is going to be comfortable with? You know, or like, okay, this is going to be a gap. Do we have somebody who is adjacent to that gap that can then, you know, jump in? Like, I've done level design, so it's like if I have to go in there and do that, I can totally do it. I don't want that to be my full-time job, but you know, for the team, of course I'll do it, you know. And you know, Elliot jumps in and has been doing, you know, things that are not in his comfort zone right now, and you know, lighting and all that kind of stuff. And as we all find, making games is fun. So even doing that kind of outside of the box work is good. But you know, so on the game side, that's pre-production. Is like, what are we building? Do we have the means to be able to build it? If we have tech questions, that goes to Matt, and it's like, can we do this? Maybe there's even a little prototype that gets made to see if it's viable. You know, and then of course we have the Web3 piece of that, you know, which is what, you know, these guys have been already concentrating on. It's like new chain, how are we going to do the contracts, yada yada yada, all that magic that these guys do, which is, I'm happy they do it, not me. And on the art side, it's a couple of things, right? Obviously, we're trying to get a trailer out, so there's actual development work being done there. But we've also been kind of building the plane in flight a little bit, you know, because just a little. It could be worse.
No, I'm not complaining. That's not me complaining. That's just
But, yeah. But also, you know, but the other thing is that it's also like finding our style, making a logo, you know, like how do all these things come together into a coherent whole, you know, not only for the project, but for, you know, the company, right? You know, like we started in a spot, a good spot already, because we knew we wanted to do voxel characters again, right? We learned so much at the last place, and it was dumb to change. It does everything we want them to do. It fits everywhere we want to go. Why overthink it, you know?
And then like on as far as like we've been doing a fair bit of animation exploration. I don't want to say early, but earlier I think than like it's kind of been along with the pre-production, which has been really beneficial as we explore what are we building, you know. We've been able to test and see, like I can throw together a combat animation. We throw the models in, we can see how it feels, how it looks, and we've been able to actually improve the models before we get, you know, too many of them. And I think that's been a real benefit, like something that we learned and we're going to continue to tweak before we really jump into production. We're going to solve a lot of those issues before we get to it, which is nice. So,
right. A small example is the elbows and knees, right? And another one, which I noticed yesterday, Elliot, and I actually posted it, was eyebrows. Like, you know, coming out of our last project, it was like, well, I double taked. I was like, the eyebrows moved. I was like, that's awesome, right? And you know, and so seeing that kind of tech, you know, get exposed makes me go back and go, do we do cutscenes? Do we, like, you know, all that kind of stuff? And it's like part of me is like, no, overscope. But at least now that I, you know, that little piece opens up a door for us if we want to use it, right?
And there's I mean, we can, I don't know if it's compatible for maybe the first game, but I'm exploring how can we do full facial with keeping in the Vox style. Again, I don't know for this particular, for the first one, if that's necessary or going to happen, but there's a lot of really fun options, especially in Blender and using what we're using to be able to build systems that, you know, maybe we don't have traditional bones and we're not actually manipulating the geo, but we can switch the geo. We can kind of make it like stop motion and switch out the heads
Right.
with different facial expressions and stuff like that. Like
So original Star Wars Lego style.
Yes.
100%. Yeah. Like
I'm
something, or
perfectly happy if we stick with pantomime and do no voices.
yeah,
I don't want to work with
Voice actors
VO.
are expensive.
they're very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't
I
wanna
think
do
unless
VO.
we do it as a team, which would be a little limiting in what we could
Hutch.
voice.
Hutch and Taco are voice actors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we can definitely. But I mean,
I can do funny voices. It just requires alcohol.
there's again watching the away and flow. Like you don't need dialogue to tell a story and to show emotion and stuff. And I think
A lot of
even if
motion
you just
here.
have the eyebrows, like
Yeah.
between the body, the eyebrows, and then just camera, like camera can convey a lot. I think we're in a good place to not feel limited, but also not overextend. So,
All right. Next question.
Next question. What are some of the previous voxel projects that have helped shape the way? What are some of your favorite voxel games? I'm going to amend that because I don't play a ton of true voxel games. I'm going to amend that to low poly. How many? What are your favorite low poly games?
Gauntlet.
Gauntlet for sure.
Hands down is probably like from that era.
Yeah,
It's probably the game that ate more quarters than anything else. Oh my god, full paycheck once.
Mm-hmm.
Gauntlet 2 had to beat it.
I'll say for me, anytime I look at our art style, I compare it to For the King, which is a hexagon-based D&D like dungeon crawler. Also, game I play a ton of, Deep Rock Galactic. Put dwarves in mind, man. It's so much fun to play as a multiplayer game.
I was about to say, there's a good let's play with the community game right there.
Yeah. That game is ridiculous. I'm trying to think of other low poly or voxel games. I mean, of course, anytime you talk voxel, you have to say Minecraft. They sort of paved the way in Destructible World voxel and purely using voxel. I think it was probably more out of necessity and constraint. I don't know that they wanted to choose voxel, but
he had no artist, so that's why he picked what he picked.
Yeah.
The only one that stands out to me is a more of a story or a narrative. Like there's not a whole lot of gameplay, but Endling, that one's. Oh, it's sad. I cried like a baby, but it's beautiful. Like it walks that line of being super cinematic and telling this story, but it is low poly. It's pretty, like the lighting is beautiful, but I like that one a lot.
Don't make me try to feel things.
You'll feel them. You're gonna feel them horde.
Oh God, I can't do that. Yeah, I think, and really the low poly and high voxel stuff that I always look to, the early 3D was all that.
Yeah.
All those N64 games, GoldenEye, Turok, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Turok, I haven't thought about that game in a while.
Mean, all those games, and then if you go into the PS world, it's Siphon Filter and Perfect Dark N64. Just a lot of those games, you can learn a lot. That kind of caps back to what I was saying. You can learn a lot from the early games by doing what they did and just improving them in some way. Like Elliot has put eyebrows on our characters that actually move. That's something they couldn't do in those days,
right.
But it allows us to feel emotion, tell a story without full VO and mouth movement. So just kind of plus oneing what used to be.
Yeah, and using your constraints as a positive. So we can't do the mouth thing. So all right, so we're going to double down on pantomime. Which was also something we talked about on the last project. And it just fits these characters. Like,
Yeah.
we already see it in, the walk cycles. Like they want to be far more Charlie Chaplin than, I don't know. I was trying to think of a good speech person. I don't know, Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next. I like questions.
This is from Happy Valley. Any arcade games coming?
Well, this first game could be an arcade game, frankly. I mean, Minecraft Dungeons is in the arcade. So there's no reason that technologically, I guess, we'd have to explore it, but I don't see anything stopping that.
Mhm.
No, we'd have
Be
to
Matt's
build it.
department, actually.
Yeah, so we'd have to build a couple things different. The challenge with arcade versus anywhere else, Steam, web, mobile, is arcade needs to be a short enough experience that someone could play the whole thing in one setting, or be hard enough that no one gets past the first level.
Mm.
Those are your two choices. Where a mobile game or a web game or a Steam game, those can go on forever, and replayability is a big part of it.
Mhm.
The whole story. So I think if we were to do an arcade version of this, it would be its own version. We would cut it to a certain point. We'd minimize it, say 7 to 10 independent levels.
Mhm.
Or again, go old school, go Lion King with it. The first level's impossible. Good luck.
Right. Right. Or there are ways that we would probably have to do a separate game, but
Yeah.
There's been enough ports, from PC to arcade, like even Rock Band.
Yeah.
And they had to make changes there to make it so that you lose.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Put another quarter in. I mean, we could figure something like that out. That's.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I am so down. Like, Happy Valley has been in our community since the last place. I love what they're doing over there. I've tried 3 or 4 times to try to work with them, and it's not worked out on my end for whatever reason, whether it was policy at the last place or time. I so badly want to work with them because I just love the fact that he's bringing back the arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go out there as soon as I get a chance to go back to New York. I'm heading to Beacon. I'm going to Happy Valley. It's gonna happen. So
where is it? Beacon, New York?
Beacon, New York. Yeah, I have a friend who lives out that way, and she said it's amazing. So it's a barcade, and I want to go so badly.
Those are coming back. There's a couple of them here. A lot of them are more pinball based, which is
right.
Fine, but like I would much prefer like a bar arcade with like Dave and Buster's, but not so
Dave and
bratty.
Buster's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we have one in my town called AB Select Start. Of course, it's called that. Konami code. And it's fun. Like, me and my wife had a no kid date there a couple months ago, and we just it was fun. We got to put $20 in the machine and get the quarters.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. So I love the arcade scene. I love the modern arcade. It's super fun. I love being able to get an adult beverage and play some pole position.
I think some of the problems with the old school arcades is that the parts for those things just aren't made anymore, right?
Yeah.
But if you use the emulator systems that are out there, and there's a gazillion of them. I have one on the floor right here. They work extremely well. The games work extremely well. So I think that there is room for a resurgence here. Just not using the original cabs, frankly.
Yeah, well, that's what he's so. And I hope this isn't information I shouldn't know. but he's building custom cabs and sticking a Raspberry Pi in them.
Yeah,
and then connecting all the joysticks together, and it's like that's incredible. That's what it should be. So
yeah, I mean, I bought this one that I have, but the original idea was to build a cab out of it, and then
yeah,
Adam was like, he played with it for like a month, and he was like, nah.
kids don't
Now,
respect the old
now it
ways.
just sits here, and I pull it out every once in a while, play like Rampage on it or whatever.
Oh, I love that one too.
Yeah,
my jam.
Rampage with our little characters.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun. Then you get all the physics you want. We'll just throw in all the physics.
There was a prototype that we built, guys, 15 years ago now, of a there's a 2-player game. One player was the monster, and the other player's job was to herd people away from the monster. Right. So and like the monster's huge. The monster's stepping on buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
The monster was also the model we used was a giant angry baby, which made it far more entertaining. But yeah, dude, it was so much fun to play that giant baby and like smash buildings. Like, and I don't know if it was because of the baby model or if it was the actual gameplay, but it worked. And the baby had like the total off filter walk. Anyway. But yeah, I'd love to come back to the whole like nobody's done it really, really well yet. Of like, my job is to trash this city.
Yeah.
Well, what about this? Okay, one player plays the monster.
Yeah.
The other side is a multiplayer RTS where you control the army, the navy, the air force. Like you control the military side of it, and it becomes an RTS for you, and it becomes Rampage for the other person.
I love it. Love it.
Like the
Game 3.
There's some core games, right? That I just came out with one of you plays the like I don't know, Freddy.
Yeah, the asynchronous multiplayer. Yeah. No, not asynchronous. I forget the word.
All right, we'll take it even a step farther. The person playing the monster is in VR.
Oh
yeah.
God!
The other person's playing an RTS.
Yeah, the other person's playing an RTS. So the person on the PC is having a completely different experience than the one that's walking around smashing.
I'm down. Write it up.
I went to a VR place for the first time ever, like 2 weeks ago, for someone's birthday.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. It was his 13th, 14th birthday party. And so I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be fine, like not too scary. And I was like, he is too young for this game. Like and you get in the mask and then they're like right in your face. And then I'm just like, no, go away. Like, stop it. And it was, everyone's screaming and it's just, it was fun, but
I'll admit it, post-COVID, you can't get that on my face. Not a public one. I got my own. Yeah, I have my own.
I just accepted my fate, and
you're like, screw it.
Here's all the sanitary. Just drank hand sanitizer afterwards, but it was
vodka, right?
I'm waiting for AR glasses that put power-ups on to go-kart.
That'd be fun.
And you'll never get me out of there.
Like it just kicks you into 4th gear or something.
Oh no, I want shells and stars.
The whole nine.
Okay.
And, yeah.
When this makes us all millions of dollars, what you really want is want laser tag go-kart.
Laser tag
where when you hit it cuts the motor.
The engine off,
yeah. Well, couldn't you just do like a VR, like do a VR thing, but you sit in a go-kart?
You'd have to do AR, right?
AR,
yeah.
That makes sense.
You still want to drive the go-kart.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Then you don't have the liability. Like I'm telling you, the liability of actual go-karts is so much worse. But if you just stick them in something that moves and it feels like
what about bumper cars? That way it's safer.
That would be fine. That would probably be better.
No, go-karts.
You have to be 18 or older.
Dude,
It is-
Dude, if they had go-karts that had, like blades on the wheels and stuff, I would still do it. Like, bring it on, man.
What you want is road rash go-karts.
Road rash go-karts, right? Sure. Bring it on.
Let's just go to the
Hitting
south.
people in the face with chains.
That might be a step too far.
Yeah, that's it. But blades on the wheels, we're good with
Or
that.
tires, that's fine. If you're dumb enough to stick your hands outside the cockpit, that's your problem, not mine.
Good. Lawsuits, all that, just lawsuit after
It's not my
lawsuit.
problem.
If you're a lawyer, reach out. We need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gents. We have no more questions, and we are at time.
All right.
Final sign-offs?
Final sign-offs. Peace out. Talk to you guys later.
I am.
All right.